Carol joining us. Hi, Carol.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, guys, we have a really exciting success story that I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be able to relate to. So this was a success story where, she met a guy at work and he did not want to commit. And she completely changed the situation around to where he actually wanted to commit. So incredibly exciting. So, like usual, guys, when you listen to the success story, don't beat yourself up to where you are right now. Instead, start intending that you are going to be the next success. You are going to be able to do it. Okay. And of course, like usual, we are going to go through and give you some tips and pointers on how you can create this in your life. So, welcome, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, so this client met her SB at work, and they started talking. And there was a lot of attraction at the beginning. They started talking, they started dating, and she started developing feelings for him. And a few weeks after they started dating, he kind of backed out a little bit, saying that he doesn't want anything serious, that she's getting too involved, and he's just not there. And that's when she came to us. And through the coaching, we discovered that she had some blocks about her self-concept, about the story. This She kept repeating the story that every guy that she meets, they never want anything serious. They only want all they want is sex. They never want to commit. It has been her experience for a while. So even though every time she meets a guy, she tells herself, okay, this is it, but she still has a story. So of course it's not it. So we started working a lot on how she saw herself in these relationships. And we started working a lot, not just on him and intentions about him, but also self-concept and affirming, that from this point on, I am the woman that men take serious. They want to commit to me. From this point on, I am that woman. I am the one that, has it all, that men see a future with, that men pursue all the time. And I think the reason why we started saying from this point on was because as we were working with intentions, she would say, like, I can't say always, because it feels like it hasn't always been my story. So no, from this point on, this is who you are, because the beauty of it all is you get to choose who you are in your own reality. You get to choose how you show up in your own reality and how you experience your own reality. So you can just say, from this point on, I turn heads, I am pursued, I am desired, I am wanted. Everyone wants to commit to me. Everyone wants a future with me. And she started working on herself. She felt great. She would get attention from other people. She would get attention from other guys at work. And of course, every time she thought of him, she would think, he's constantly contacting me. He's always initiating contact. He wants to see me all the time. He's constantly asking me out on dates. And, within a few weeks, he just started coming in and he started texting her. Hey, how are you doing? I want to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I no longer see you at work. What's going on? And, amazingly, now he is constantly texting him. I want to see you right now. I want to take you out on dates. She actually went on vacation and now she's like, I can't wait for you to get back. I want you to come back so I want to introduce you to my mom. I want to introduce you to my family. So he is all over it. He is very, very persistent. She's loving every second of it. And of course, she's using that feedback as momentum to continue persisting, even when these thoughts might show up, as in, I wonder how long this is going to last, because sometimes that happens a little bit when we manifest something. We're like, I manifested that. I wonder how long it's going to last. And no, it'll last as long as you say it'll last. So when you find yourself asking those questions, you know that you're the only one that has the answer. So use that feedback, use that momentum, and to continue creating and to continue making it as an obvious thing. Of course he wants me to be his mom. I'm wonderful. I am the most wonderful woman he's ever met. Why not? Why wouldn't he want me to meet his mom? So yes, so this is where we are. And she's happy.
That's so awesome. That is so amazing. It's so funny, that success story. I'm like, yeah, that's like totally me, right? That's like
Me too.
my story, right? And one thing that was big is always the changing what you think the other person wants. If you don't think they want a commitment, then they're not going to want a commitment. If you think they want a commitment, then they're going to want a commitment, and that's the thing. And then also creating that we're good enough, because sometimes we have the story like, oh, I never get the guy that wants to be in a relationship. Like I always get the guy that just wants, So we've got to, like you said, work on our self-concept that we can have what we want. And then on top of that, even, start working on the story about the other person, like what do we think they want, and what do they want with us, and how do they feel about us? Because we create what everyone thinks about us through our assumptions, because everyone is us pushed out, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that we talked about the most was like this mental back and forth, like the old story with the new story. And I think we all go through that when we're shifting, when we're changing one belief system for another. We go through that. And I always say, I don't think you did scripting, coaching, or mental diet to get into that crappy situation, right? Like you did that all by yourself without even trying. So just imagine.
And sometimes we've done it more than once. Like I used to be an expert at that. Like, oh my goodness, right again.
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, if you want proof that you have power, use that, because you do have power. Okay, so if you got there without even trying, just imagine where you can get if you actually tried, if you actually tried persistent. Because those negative thoughts, at the moment that you start, this avalanche of positive intentions, those negative thoughts might resist a little bit. They've been there for so long, they are cozy in there, so you need to know that this is part of the natural process of things. But the only way to get rid of them is to continue persistent on what you want instead, because you are controlling your thoughts this time. Last time they were controlling you. You were just on autopilot, default. This time around, you are choosing your thoughts. You are in control. You'll get there further and faster if you actually take control of the situation.
Yeah, no, you've nailed it. And it's so funny because I was just thinking about this morning, right? And it doesn't even take much, it doesn't even take much. It just takes a moment of just stopping and just being conscious and making, catching that story on autopilot and just making a conscious intention. And that's really all it takes. And it really doesn't take much of it. It's about catching a lot of the story. So it's the funniest thing happened yesterday, just to share out of my own personal life, because I know how much you guys will love it. But to protect the names of the innocent, I'm going to use the name Gerry, okay? To keep this confidential, right? So we'll talk about Gerry. Okay, so anyway, so Gerry, okay, so I've had previous Gerrys in the past that I've had a story with that, whenever I've had something to do in my life that was important to me, they would drag their feet, wouldn't care, get me there late, whatever. So I had that story from previous Gerrys. Now, I'm definitely protecting their innocence because you guys don't know who those are. But then anyways, my current Gerry, right, unfortunately was having that projected on him, not because that was something that he's ever displayed, but because that's been a thought pattern that I've had from previous relationships, okay? And I caught myself doing it yesterday. I caught myself doing it. And I said to myself, I'm like, has this Gerry ever shown up late or, got you somewhere late? He cares about your appointments just more than you do, actually. He cares about me more than I do some days, right? So, there was no basis for me to be holding, him in that light with that assumption. But that assumption was coming from previous relationships and previous disappointments, right? So, I invite you guys right now to take a look just out for those things in your own current relationship. How much are you blaming on your current partner that was actually from other people? I mean, all way too common. And I realized that, and all I did yesterday was made a conscious effort. I went, oh, I know the thought that I need to change. I'm like right then and there, we weren't even gonna be late, but I was like, we're gonna be late, he's not gonna care. And then that was it, right? Like stuff went south, right? Gerry heard it in his head because everyone freaked out, and you know how that went, right? So what I'm saying though is I caught the moment when I went after, it all came to light. I caught the moment of when it started, and I went, oh my goodness, you know what? Wow. that was terrible. I can't believe I'm doing that. So, it's just about catching those little pieces in your
Oh
mental
yeah.
diet. And you know what? I mean, to be honest, I consider myself to have a really great relationship, and luckily I do. But that doesn't mean that there isn't little things like that that are sitting there that need to be worked on. I've worked on enough of those little stories to shift the momentum, because if you guys have been following this channel since the beginning, you guys knew where I started with Gerry. Right? But you shift enough of those little stories, you start to get, but you don't need to shift them all, but keep working on them, right? But you got to shift enough of them to to get to where you are. So now I've shifted that other story yesterday. Now whenever I have an appointment, we're going to have a good day. So
Exactly.
and but we weren't before, but now we're going forward. So you got to just catch those little conversations that you have inside your head that they're not present for, like physically, but they're having them with you. Those are the ones you've got to catch, right?
Oh
you
yeah,
know
exactly. And the universe was created so perfectly that it's constantly handing us what we need to work on. It's
oh
constantly doing it. Like our life is a constant manifestation, every
yeah,
second of it, and it's constantly feeding back to us what we need to work on. And it's funny because I had the story that every guy wants to commit to me at the beginning, and once they have me, they pull back. And I had that story for so long. And when I started learning about the law of attraction and I started practicing this, and I actually caught myself again doing that, right? And whatever, because it's all about perception. And the first time I had that perception that he was busy or not paying me as much attention, I was like, no, I actually caught myself. Wait a minute. No, no, no. You're not doing this again. You're not repeating the same story. He's you pushed out. And I started having mental conversations with him like, nope, you call me all the time. You're always giving me attention. You show up all the time, all the time. And it's funny because we've been together for over 2 years and things still show up, like you say, things still show up. But what do you do with that? Whatever is showing up. Okay, thank you for providing me with that piece of information. Thank you so
yeah,
much. And
yeah,
the thoughts are going to be there, but when you catch them and you realize you can
yeah.
control the thought 100% of the time.
Yeah, yeah, really what it comes down to is what do you do with that feedback? Do you take it, beat yourself up with it, spiral out of control, make it worse? Okay, that's it, we're breaking up. He's never gonna love me again. I can't believe I did that. He's getting sick of my crap, blah, 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 blah. Like, do you know where I'm going with that, right? Or do you take it and do you recognize what you need to change? Thank everybody that was involved for bringing it to your attention, taking responsibility for when you made that turning point, and then start changing it going forward, because what do you have to lose anyway, right? So it's all on what you do with it as well. I mean, don't use your feedback as a club to beat yourself up and to make another story that you're not good enough, because
Oh
you're
yeah.
perfect. Every single one of you guys are perfect. And it's just about being responsible enough to go, yeah, no, that's funny. I can't believe I've been doing that for we've been together 3 years. Wow. I'm like, that kind of sucked every once in a while, didn't it? Oops.
I am so creative. Look at me creating.
Yes, I'm creating. Like, oh, awesome. Like,
The other day, I know that you say this a lot, and I was thinking about this. What you resist persists. And it is so true, because when we're resisting all these thoughts or this negative feedback, and I actually picture resistance as you kind of, like pushing all that away from you. And you know how much energy goes into that, into you actually resisting that and pushing that thought away. But if you, and this is like a visual that I had in my mind, that if you just like drop your hands and shift and turn your head and focus on what you want to see instead, these will eliminate naturally. By consequence, they have to eliminate, because you're no longer paying attention to them. You're no longer resisting them. You're focusing on what you want to see instead. And that
yeah.
has worked for me in my relationship like
Oh
so
my
well.
I love that. Like, I love that. That's the perfect, that's the perfect, like, visual description of resisting and how to stop resisting your current reality. Shift it, focus on what you want. You're right. It's all gonna go, and then if you want to be really powerful, take a look at everything you're resisting, write it down, change it into positive intentions, throw it out, start focusing on that list. You're going to blow right through it like that because, everything constantly gives you feedback. Here's a little piece from my personal life for anybody that's interested in health wise, right? So yesterday I went to go get allergy tests because I've been having allergic reaction and to gluten or whatever, right? And hey, I know I created this, okay? And so of course, right? And I'll tell you how I created it. Oh, there's so much chemicals in the food, blah, 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 blah. It's so processed. And of course people are getting allergic. Okay. I did that years ago, right? Obviously I did, right? That's obviously because now it's showing up. So I was sitting getting my blood tested and I said to the lady, I was like, so I'm just out of curiosity, right? She's taking my blood. Like, what are we going to talk about? She's like, why do you think people are allergic to stuff like gluten? And you know what she said to me word for word? It's because, you know what? She's like, there's so much processed food out there and it's chemicals in it. So of course everybody's getting allergic to it. You don't say, hey? You don't say, right?
That's what you've been telling yourself this whole time.
Right? So everyone's you pushed out, they all reflected back to you, right? So then I was talking to somebody else. I'm like, why do you think people get allergic to stuff? And then again, same answer, maybe a few different words in there. So, your thoughts create your reality and, and it will get reflected back to you, and same thing when I asked the doctor, got the same answer. I know what to work on, right? But I mean, so it's all feedback, right? So you're right. The universe is constantly telling you what you need to work on and what's blocking you. As soon as you make that declaration and say, that is my goal, the universe is going to go, okay, you need to change this, 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 this. And it's not meant to beat you up. It's doing you a favor. It's letting you know what is contrast to where you want to be. And all you do is you take it in and you just simply change it into positive intentions. And that's just all you do. And you don't get upset about your reality. You don't resist it. You just go, thank you, and be grateful for it and go, wow, you know what? I know what I need to work on. I know how to get me there, because that's really what this is about. It's not about being perfect in every area of your life. It's about knowing how to change it if you want to change it.
Yeah. And when you see it that way, nothing ever means a setback. You're always moving forward. When you see it that way, you're always moving forward.
Exactly. You're always moving forward. You're always, and there's never any failures. If you decide not to choose anything to be a failure and just to be an experience, then you're just experiencing. I've been successful in my life. I have also been unsuccessful. People look back and they're, do you regret the time you were unsuccessful? I'm like, no, it was a choice. I totally knew what I was doing. I totally knew how to change it, but I was choosing not to. And that's really where you want to get. Okay. As long as you can say, look, I know how to drive that car, but I'm just choosing not to. Then what's the problem, right? You're okay with that. If you're in a dysfunctional relationship or whatever, and you know how to change it, then you're just making the choice. You're not a failure. You're just making a choice not to change it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can choose whatever you want in your life and to accept your choices, right? And to stop labeling stuff as success or failure, because there's really no such thing. It's all just a judgment. One thing that I may be saying is successful, you may say is a failure.
Exactly. It's all about an opinion, and opinion is a belief. And that creates. Exactly. And
we wrapped it right up. So I don't even know how we started on this conversation, but you know what? I'm going to say that all of these videos that we do, I just realized they have got so much value in them. We really do put a lot out there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Carol. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
So guys, you know what, when it comes to getting a commitment, let's just do a quick summary. Change your self-concept of you, change the story about the other person. Watch what stories are you bringing forward from previous experiences, so you've had one or two guys that didn't want to commit. Are you going to label every guy as not wanting to commit now? So start taking a look in your life and see what you are projecting onto other people. And start focusing on what you want rather than focusing on what you don't want. So amazing. Awesome. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.